most common mistakes I see. I've actually answered this a few times on the stream. There should be some replays. And I don't know if my answer changes every single time, but probably changes a little bit. Um, there's a few common mistakes that I see with new animators. The first one is trying to progress too quickly or too fast too quickly. So, for example, you're starting to learn animation and I'm going to go in an acting shot. I want this like awesome mechanic shot and it's going to have flips and all of this stuff and the character is going to fall on the ground and tumble and all of this cool explosions, all of that stuff. Don't go too far too quick. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be pushing yourself and trying to learn new things, but everything in animation can be broken down into simple concepts. If you understand those simple concepts, you're going to understand pretty much any other motion. So the bouncing ball. The bouncing ball is one of the biggest advantages you're going to give yourself if you truly understand it. A bouncing ball isn't just a ball bounce, done, and move on. I did that assignment. Yay, that was fun. No, it is a concept and it has animation principles that you will apply to almost every single shot you're ever going to work in. So, if you understand those, if you truly take the time to figure out, okay, why is it doing this? Why should I animate it this way and not that way? You will have resources that you can use in almost everything else. So take the time, really understand those fundamentals. The next thing I would say that I see students kind of tend to fall, the pitfalls they fall into, is not planning and studying enough. As a student, and honestly, as an animator, we're always students. We're always learning new things. You need to study and you need to plan things out. If you go and, okay, I'm going to animate a walk, watch a video of a walk, got it, and jump in, you're going to fail. You're not going to understand why you're doing things. Study everything you can. Study the arcs of how things move. Look at the spacing. Look at the timing. Plan it out. Take notes. Compare it to other walks. See if you can find similarities between a bunch of different walks. You want to study and understand what it is you're animating. When you shoot reference, you want to understand what it is that you're doing when you're moving. Why are you moving the way you are? Study the body posture, the lines of action. How is the body moving? I see a lot of people when they first do their first posing assignments, they just have the body there and then they're just going to raise an arm and put it out there and it's just kind of moving for the sake of moving an arm. Oh, the characters got their arm up, blip, done. But what's actually happening when you raise your arm? If I raise my arm here, you'll notice that my body shifts. Look at that shoulder on the other side there. Raise. See how it moved? Because my arm swings out here, which pulls my body over and then comes back, and I get this shake to the body. Is there sympathetic motion there? As that's happening, my clavicle is engaging and it's causing my chest to rotate. There's all of these little things. You want to study those. Pay attention to them. Shoot a lot of reference. So really planning and studying. If you can get a solid plan before you even approach your shot, it doesn't mean that you're going to succeed right away and then, yep, everything's easy. What it means is that when you run into an issue, you're not going to go, what do I do next? And then just hope for the best. You're going to, okay, I saw this in my reference. Let's try this. You'll try it. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it doesn't. But now you know exactly why or where it's happening. And you go, okay, I see it in my reference, but it's not working in my shot. Why? And you can diagnose it much more quickly. So really try to take that time to study things. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. You start to learn what you have to look for. Yes, I do love repeating answers because a lot of people are not going to be able to look through all the videos and find it again. And you never know, maybe I'll say something that I didn't think of the last time. So I don't mind at all. Let's see. Another common pitfall I see is new animators not showing their work enough. So you want to share your work, not every single day and not for every single little change, but whenever you hit kind of milestone, share your work, ask for feedback. You're going to grow a lot more with feedback in a lot of cases. The other note is give feedback. You're going to learn so much more as an animator when you're giving feedback than when you're just applying things to your own shot. By giving feedback, it does two things. One, it practices your eye for animation so that you can spot mistakes more easily. And if you spot mistakes more easily, you can spot them in your own work more easily. And part of that is that it's much easier to see a mistake on someone else's work and kind of go, oh, maybe it should be this way. And this, when you're giving feedback, don't just go, oh, this is wrong. Try to give a solution. Think of, okay, if this was my shot, how would I fix it? What could I do? And when you first start out, it's going to be very tricky. But the more you do it, the more practice you get, the better it'll be. And again, it helps you with that puzzle solving ability and makes it easier to look at your own work and figure those out. Because looking at your own work is very hard because you've got all of the thought process for the whole thing going on in your brain all the time. The other thing it helps with is it starts building a network of people who want to animate with you. Or if you're a helpful person in the community and someone goes, hey, I've got a job here at the studio. You want it? It's amazing how much that can help in your career later on. Not that you're giving feedback so that you can make connections and people are going to help you later on. Ha ha ha. No, nothing like that. You're just doing it because it's a nice thing to do. And as an animator, it's part of our job. And one of the added benefits is that it'll help you in your career. So it's just a good thing overall. And then let's see, any other, I guess the last note, and kind of applies to something I mentioned earlier, is not putting enough emphasis on posing. Posing in animation is half of your animation. If you don't have good poses, you're not going to have a good animation. Posing is what makes everything feel alive and interesting. If you have a character going through the scene and they might have the best spacing and timing and appeal, or appeal is technically posing. So spacing, timing, overlap, all of that, but they're just moving like this the whole time and just that. How is that going to be interesting compared to big dynamic poses that change and feel like they're interesting to look at? Now, that doesn't mean every pose has to be huge and dynamic, but you want to design the pose for the situation. If a character's sad, make them feel sad. If they're happy, make them feel happy and energetic. Posing is huge. And when I see a lot of students go through class 1 and 2 at Animation Mentor, oftentimes I'll see the posing assignments kind of get pushed to the side as I don't have to focus on that. And I know when I was a student, I did that a few times. Whereas like, I want to animate. I'm an animator. I'm going to focus on my animation assignment. And then if I have some time, like the last 2 hours of the week, just do the posing assignment and just get it done. Don't do that. Posing is so important. You want to understand how to pose properly, because when you get into blocking a shot, that's what you're doing. You're posing every single frame. So you need to understand that. Don't skimp out on it. So yeah, once you understand the pose studies and see how important they are, it really boosts your skill up. And this goes with like hand poses, facial poses, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think those would be the main notes that I would have. There's probably more that I'm forgetting, but maybe I'll remember them later.